Fresh off his win last year, Brody's back to reclaim that Emmy. But the one who knocks will not have taken defeat lightly. To spoil it for both winners is a politician as ruthless as they come and a newsman as idealistic as they come. Earl of Grantham's in the mix. Or can Don Draper finally get the one girl who's eluded him all these years? It's lead actor in a drama series brought to you by Gold Derby.
The lead actor in a drama series race is really the story of two big winners going head to head. Bryan Cranston for Breaking Bad and Damian Lewis for Homeland. Let's start by talking about Bryan Cranston. He has won three Emmys for Best Lead Actor in a Drama Series. Last year was the first time he ever lost the award. And Breaking Bad is on an all-time high at the moment. People are talking about it. The ratings are through the roof. It had episodes airing of its acclaimed final season while voting was taking place. The love for Cranston, the love for Breaking Bad is huge. The fact that even though he's won three of these things, he hasn't won in the past 2 years, because last year he lost to Damian Lewis. The year before Breaking Bad had a break. It might not be as memorable about how many times he won. It sort of still seems like, oh, we haven't given one to Bryan Cranston in quite a while. The episode Bryan has submitted is called Say My Name, which is a very weighty episode that the judges of this category will be watching. He's got this great scene in the desert at the beginning, and then he murders someone at the end. A very loaded tape. It doesn't have the big over-the-top theatrics of maybe some of his previous submissions, and obviously his character is quite unlikable, murdering a fan-favourite character. It was revealed for no reason, so that could be a bit grating for voters. The question is, he's a 3-time winner, and it's very hard to win your 4th Emmy. James Gandolfini couldn't do it for The Sopranos. A lot of people thought he would for the final season. James Spader couldn't do it. A lot of people thought he'd win his 4th for a big speech on the death penalty in, I think, season 4 of Boston Legal. It's very hard, even when the tapes are there, and even when the love is there, to get that 4th Emmy for lead actor. He's in trouble, but Breaking Bad stock is nothing but up this year at the Emmys. Fighting him for it is Damian Lewis from Homeland. He won in a bit of a surprise last year, and he won because of his episode that he submitted called The Vest. This year, and I guess love for Homeland, it did win Best Drama Series. This year he submitted the episode Q&A to judges, another very loaded episode. The only disadvantage this year that he didn't have last year is Homeland doesn't have quite the buzz it did last year, and also the Best episode had a lot of scenes of just him. This year his scenes in Q&A he shares with Claire Danes, so it's a bit more of a back and forth, but still a really powerful tape that puts him in a great position to win this Emmy. Also the history, last time someone won for their first season of a show, they went on to win the next 2 Emmys. Damian Lewis hopefully trying to follow in Bryan Cranston's footsteps by winning not just this year's but next year's Emmy too. Chris Beecham and myself got a chance to talk to Damian Lewis about the state of this Emmy race.
Well, I've got to say Rob LaCuria, who's also one of our Australian editors, and I went way out on a limb because everybody in the world was predicting Bryan Cranston last year. And we watched those episodes, and we just knew you were going to win. So what were your expectations that night as you're sitting in that seat?
It's just fun being at top table, and that's what it feels like. And, whoever wins on the night, that's fantastic. That's terrific. Good for them. And then they called out my name, and it came very slowly to me through the fog, and I just sort of looked at my wife Helen and I went, Jesus, I think you just said my name. That's what I was thinking, and I remember Claire turning around immediately and congratulating me, giving me a kiss, and I kissed my wife, and I walked in slow motion to the stage. I turned around and I saw the whole 3 rows of Homeland crowd in the middle of the auditorium standing up and whooping and cheering, and it was just a big moment.
Well, you talked, Damian, about it being such a competitive category in recent years, and I'm not sure if you're aware, and I think I have the numbers right, but you're, I think, only the 7th person to win that award in the past 13 years. It's a very exclusive club, one of the most exclusive sort of categories in the Emmys in recent years. Sort of, what's it like to be included on that very exclusive list of people like Tony Soprano and Walter White and Alan Shaw and Jack Bauer and things like that?
Kind of beyond description, except, I hope that Nick Brody becomes an iconic name in the same way that, or should I say just Brody, becomes an iconic TV character in the same way that Tony Soprano, Jack Bauer, have all become. Don Draper, even though Don Draper hasn't actually walked away with it, he should have. But, that just shows you how competitive the category is. A lot has been made of the golden age of TV drama that we live in. If you get in and you win once, if the material remains as compelling as it was in that first season, you got a decent chance, to win again. I think what's extraordinary this year, though, on the other hand, is Breaking Bad never seems to dip in standard, and then we've got other interesting things thrown into the mix, like House of Cards, which is a historical breakthrough for Netflix, and then just another incredible actor who I've always loved, Jeff Daniels, in the mix. I just and those characters might become iconic characters and part of TV history too, but.
Also, the really tough thing about this category is it's not just got two solid frontrunners, but there's some other people coming up from new shows that have a great chance of upsetting. And let's start off by talking about Kevin Spacey. Netflix is revolutionizing television with House of Cards and Arrested Development and alike, and the way it's bringing those shows. Kevin Spacey, a big part of that. Will they want to give a nod to history? He's a big-time movie star. He's a two-time Oscar winner coming down to TV in a show that has a lot of respect in the industry. That's looking great for him. The problem that Kevin Spacey faces is, firstly, the strength of the competition, but also it's a very cold performance. He submitted the pilot. It's very good, but it's a very cold performance where he doesn't, have big crying scenes or really showy stuff. He's a very cold, calculated character, and that could really get in his way to Emmy glory. We've also got Jeff Daniels from The Newsroom, another movie star that's come down to TV. He's got a really interesting spot. The Newsroom did not do as well as we were expecting with nominations. Aaron Sorkin wasn't even able to get a nomination. The show hasn't been critically embraced the way people would hope for an Aaron Sorkin HBO show to be embraced. And so, because of that, he's on a bit of a back foot entering this Emmy race. But he, like Kevin Spacey, submitted his show's pilot, and he opens the episode with a big speech on America and America being the greatest country and things like that. And you know what? That could put him in a good position in this Emmy race, because we've seen James Spader win, 3 Emmys for episodes where he gets to give big closing arguments in court cases, big pontifications, and Jeff Daniels gets to do that here, and he does it really well, which puts him in a great spot to cause an upset. The question is, will that speech being so early in the episode mean that by the time they get to the end, it's not as memorable as a James Spader closing that could be at the end? And again, the biggest thing standing in his way is Damian Lewis and Bryan Cranston. The competition in this category is incredible. Tom O'Neill got a chance to talk to Jeff Daniels about the state of the Emmy race. Let's hear what he had to say.
Early in the first season, Jeff, you had a monologue that went on for about 42 pages. It was magnificent. It was Shakespearean. My 2 questions about that. How much of that were you allowed to deliver on via teleprompter? And number 2, how soon to shooting the scene did you get that script?
Well, that was in the pilot. It was the, it's not the greatest country in the world speech. And that was a really important speech. Not only was it in the pilot, but it was in the first 5 minutes of the pilot. So you've got all of America kind of sitting there with the remote going, go ahead, and we got to deliver. And Aaron had been working on that pilot episode for easily 2 months, and that speech probably was rewritten. A percentage of it was rewritten 6 times. So about 3 or 4 days before it, I got the last little 10% rewrite, and I remember him saying, by the way, do you want cue cards? And I gave him a look that, froze him. And no, we didn't do that. And so right from the first take on, it was there. And my God, it's like I've been acting for 36 years so I could do that speech. And that's what it felt like, and that's what you throw into it. And as they say, didn't leave anything in the locker room with it. And when you've got, a friend of mine said, with Aaron, he goes, wait till you see what you get to say. And that speech, along with a lot of other things we get to do in this show, is evidence of that. We can't believe what he gives us to say and to play.
Now, the other people in this race are returning contenders, and let's start off by talking about Hugh Bonneville from Downton Abbey, who's here for his second year in this category. And look, he submitted episode 3.5 of the season. He's dealing with a daughter that has just died. Obviously, an emotionally weighty performance for him, which, if voters love Downton Abbey, and that he gets sort of the British support, a lot of British members on this voting panel, it could do wonders for him. But it's just still a reserve character in the show. He doesn't have the sizzle or the pop of a Bryan Cranston, a Damian Lewis, a Jeff Daniels in this category. It just seems like his biggest problem is this competition and being able to stand out amongst them. So if Hugh Bonneville wins, it'll be sort of the emotional weight coupled with Downton love. But it looks like Downton's buzz is on the decline at the Emmys. Also nominated, though, is someone who isn't here for a second nomination, is here for his sixth, Jon Hamm. Now, we've seen Martin Sheen and Hugh Laurie get 6 nominations in this category for playing the same character and not be able to win. There's no guarantee that the overdue factor is a prevalent one here. However, he does have the overdue factor. Kiefer Sutherland eventually cracked through here for his 5th season. There's no reason why there couldn't be an overdue factor that helps Jon Hamm in his case. He submitted a good episode. He submitted the season final of Mad Men, where he gets to give a big speech about Big Hershey's chocolate bar pitch, which is great. And then he sort of has a bit of a subtle breakdown. But like Jon Hamm has struggled in the past, it's still an understated performance. It doesn't have the showiness of the other performances in this category, and that's where Jon Hamm's really going to struggle. He's understated. He's had better episodes in the past. However, he's got a great scene. He's the most overdue contender here, and that keeps him probably alive in this race. So there you have it, a quick overview of lead actor in a drama series. If you want to hear more detailed analysis of those categories in chats, if you want to see the extended candid interviews with those stars, if you want to lodge your own predictions and join in the discussions in our forums, please check out goldderby.com. Thanks.